Hello, everyone. This is Kurt Valenti for Broncos Daily. Welcome back to another edition. Please like, subscribe to the page. Also, feel free to leave your comments throughout the show, and we'll get to those comments on another show. A lot of news today in Broncos world. Today is Monday. Wish this was, again, media week for Super Bowl 60, but it's not. But hey, Broncos still have tons of news coming out. First thing, General Manager George Paton, is he a potential candidate for the Minnesota Vikings general manager job that just opened up? Remember, George Paton was a longtime assistant general manager for the Vikings, has a lot of good relationships with that organization, did a lot of good things there, a lot of good playoff experiences there. Then came over to Denver, became the general manager. Now, with that opening, there's an opening. The Vikings fired their general manager. There's some quote-unquote rumors, and hopefully they're just rumors, that Paton may be a candidate for that role. I hope not. He did not start off so great as the Bronco general manager, right? We all remember hiring Nathaniel Hackett. He made the massive trade for Russell Wilson, which, listen, a lot of people at that time were on board with it. He then made a massive mistake in giving Russ that huge extension, which he never played one down as a Bronco on that extension. And we just got that off of our books. So, everything has not been perfect for George. But he has done a lot of things, right? He has built a top 3 defense in the NFL. Obviously, Pat Surtain was probably is the best player on that defense. And, when he could have went quarterback and Justin Fields and Mac Jones in that draft, he didn't. He picked Surtain, and that was the right move. So he built that defense. He got some young players on offense, right? Quinn Miners, the RJ Harvey pick. Now, again, I'm not going to say it's all George Paton because we know Sean Payton has a big influence on that, but he is the general manager. He is doing that dirty work. He is doing the works for the trades, the moves ups and, the move up and downs in the trade, in the draft. So, and his relationship with Sean Payton, I think, is a good one. A lot of people question how is that going to work, but they work good together. So hopefully it's just rumors. And again, with 5 coaches leaving Sean's staff, now if we lose another general manager to that, I mean, that's a lot. Hey, we're talented, but that's a lot to overcome next year. So hopefully it's just a rumor, and George will be back. Second thing, officially, Davis Webb has officially interviewed for the offensive coordinator position. He is now the 3rd candidate to, quote unquote, officially interview for that spot. And while doing the show, the breaking news has broke that Davis Webb will now be the Denver Broncos' next offensive coordinator. I am super stoked on this move. You look around the league, Davis has generated a lot of interest, not just as offensive coordinator positions, but as head coach positions, right? Buffalo wanted to talk to him. The Raiders wanted to talk to him. Listen, he's a hot candidate in this league. His relationship with Bo Nix and the development of Bo Nix, and a lot of that has to be attributed to Davis Webb. That makes me excited. A lot of things now, since he's going to be ROC, terminology is not going to change, right? You're not going to bring in a whole new philosophy, terminology. So this offense is going to be boom, running right from day one. Nothing changes. Okay, everything is the same. The only possible question, again, is will he call plays? That, as of now, has not been, and I don't think we're going to hear about it for a while, but it hasn't been said if he's going to call plays. Is it going to be Sean Payton still calling plays? Are they going to have a combination of play callers? So it's something that we are going to, wait to see. We're going to see what happens with that, but I think Bo is excited about this. I think the whole offense is excited about this. And again, it's just something else we don't have to worry about, nothing that's going to, quote unquote, change, right? Or do things have to be a little different? Yeah. yes, we have to get better in the run game. We have to get better in the red zone. And I think that's something that Davis is going to do. He's a younger guy. He's got that a little younger mentality, a little different than the old school Sean Payton. A lot of quarterbacks like that. I think Bo likes that. So, listen, I'm stoked up about that. I hope you guys, Bronco fans, are excited about that. But listen, one of the bigger candidates out there for coordinator and head jobs stays home, gets the bump, becomes OC, and Davis Webb, offensive coordinator now of our Denver Broncos. What we've been talking about in the last couple shows have been upgrades to, especially on the offensive side of the ball with the weapons, right? The running backs, the wide receivers, the tight ends. So just a little topic I want to talk about tonight is our first round pick, which is solidified. It's going to be the number 30th pick, regardless of what happens in the Super Bowl. With our record, we are now slotted in as number 30. So my question for you guys, and again, please feel free to comment through and get your opinion on this, is do we keep the pick and draft at 30, or do we trade that pick for an upgrade of a known commodity right now? So when we say known commodity right now, I'm just going to throw out 3 names. And again, just hearing there's nothing official that these players are going to be available, but there's been a little whispers throughout the past month or 2 months that these players could become available. First one, obviously, best receiver, one of the best receivers in football, Justin Jefferson. Not happy in Minnesota, not really happy with J.J. McCarthy. Again, not to say he is going to be available, and he's going to be a lot more than pick 30, but that is a player that if, Justin Jefferson is available, and that's going to cost us our first round pick and more. But if it's, hey, we have to move our first round pick for it, I'm jumping on that. That is something that is somebody where when you talk about a superstar, a weapon, an offensive star, Justin Jefferson is at the top of the line for wide receivers. Another guy would be A.J. Brown, and I know this might be a little controversial because of A.J. Brown's attitude in Philly and his relationship in Jalen Hurts, but there's no denying the talent there. A.J. Brown would be better than anybody in our receiver room. He would automatically bump down Cortland Sutton from our number 1 to our number 2, give us a legit number 1 receiver. And again, I'm not going to sit here right now and say I'm 100% on board. I would have to think about it for the talent. But again, are we going to draft an impact player at number 30 that's going to be more of an impact than A.J. Brown right now? With Justin Jefferson, I'm 100% all in. A.J. Brown, it would be something I have to consider. It would be something I might have to, ask permission to talk to the player and see how he's going to, coexist with Bo Nix and stuff like that, and just to get his mindset of where he is. But again, as a talent, I don't think you're going to get a better talent at number 30. And the last one would be, and again, this is a guy I'm running to Arizona to get him, is tight end Trey McBride, a hometown hero from Colorado State. If these guys are available, that is a move you have to make. When we are in a Super Bowl window, and we say Super Bowl window, like next year, right? There's no guarantees. As much as we were 14-3 this year and a great team and the number 1 seed, there's no guarantee that's going to happen next year and the following year and the following year. So when we are in a Super Bowl window like we are right now, we have to be aggressive. Again, is it nice to have, hey, I'm going to take a talent at number 30 and, have him on a smaller salary and have him for 4 or 5 years? Yes, but if I can move that pick and get a legit superstar like a Trey McBride, and again, it's going to cost more than 30, but I am not someone that's going to say I can't trade my first round picks. Why? Because I want to win now. So again, that is something where I am very open. Please leave your comments. What are your thoughts? Do you have to pick at number 30, or are you open to moving that pick? I am 100% moving that pick if it is going to be an offensive weapon that can help Bo Nix and this offense compete for a Super Bowl right now. And my last topic tonight, is, again, with the news of Vance Joseph not getting a head coaching job, right? He was probably, before all of these 10 jobs opened up, people would have said he's 100% going to get one of these 10 positions. He didn't. And for whatever reason it is, hey, it does benefit our Broncos, right? He will be back as defensive coordinator for the Broncos for now his fourth season. So my question that I ask you guys is, as great as this defense was last year, can the Broncos defense be better in 2026? I say yes. You know, again, just like it is now with the breaking news of Davis Webb becoming our offensive coordinator and now Vance staying, everybody is comfortable in his system. You know, every year this defense has got better. Again, we had the most sacks this year in the NFL, the second most ever to the 85 Bears. So, you know, why is that going to change? I think we're going to have a little more upgrades from a couple more younger players. I think Barron is going to step up where we saw him last year kind of play a hybrid, right? A little safety, a little sometimes in the middle of the field of a linebacker, a little of a corner. I think Joseph will have a better plan for him. I think Drew Sanders, who I'm very high on Drew Sanders. The problem is he's always hit with the injury bug. But if this kid can stay anywhere somewhat healthy, you know, he gives us that linebacker with speed, right? He can blitz off the edge. He could cover a couple running backs, cover tight ends. That's something that we don't have. I believe, you know, he can help. The great thing about the Broncos is all of their, I don't want to use the word stars, but, you know, better defensive players are signed. They all signed their extensions. They're locked in for a couple of years. So we're not going to have any distractions, right? The linebacker crew, yes. I mean, we do have to figure that out between Greenlaw, Stranad, and Singleton. And we will this offseason. Personally, I want Dre Greenlaw back. You know, do I expect Dre Greenlaw to play 17 games next year and 3 or 4 in a playoff? No. He's never going to be that kind of player. And I don't think we signed him thinking we're going to be that kind of player. The thing is, we got to get him, you know, early on. If he's going to miss a little in the middle, but then rev him up and have him back ready for week 16, week 17 going into that postseason. But another year in this system, again, that experience, that Super Bowl experience. I mean, he was a monster with San Francisco. I think it's something he can, you know, the experience he's going to bring us, he's still a talented player. It's just, you know, we're not going to get 17 games out of him. But we have to figure out the other inside linebacker spot between Stranad and Singleton. I think Denver will sign one of them. I don't know if they're going to be able to get both. I think it's first going to come down to is, do we give Stranad the starting position, because that is what he's looking for. And then, you know, can Singleton, if Singleton does want to stay, will he take a pay cut? Does it matter for him if he's not, you know, the quote unquote starter, but he's in the rotation? But, and that could be, you know, the linebacker could be a spot where we can go into free agency. We can go into a higher first round, second round. If we keep that first round pick, a second round, a third round linebacker, you know, a second and a third round linebacker, those guys should be able to, I don't want to use the word start, but get a lot of playing time right away in the NFL. So I am excited about this defense. I think this defense can be better than it was last year. It might not be better with the, you know, when you look at the number of sacks, but I think they got to get a little better in the run game, and I think they did. I loved their performance in the AFC Championship game. You know, especially knowing, listen, our backup quarterback, we have our backup quarterback in, Bo Nix is out, Stidham is in, so we're going to have to win this game. And that defense almost won that game. I mean, you know, we gave up, our offense gave them 7 points. So in reality, you know, you held New England to 3 points. I know the weather might have had something to do with it, but listen, Vance had that defense ready. Another thing is I think that defense is going to be hungry next year. I know that defense knows, listen, these Super Bowl hopes are, we are a defensive first team, and I think the offense is going to, with their moves in the offseason and the weapons, they're going to be a lot better, but I still think this is going to be a defensive team next year. So I just think that they're going to play a little hungry next year and to get to that next level. So I do. I think this defense can be better next year, and I think it's big that Vance is back. The guys love him. Nothing's going to change in the system. So again, from day one, from OTAs to training camp, listen, it's ready to go. We don't have to worry about terminology. You don't have to worry about anything new. Hey, go out and go play football. And I think these guys are going to do it. But thank you guys for another edition. Like I said, please like, subscribe to the page. Please leave your comments. I will get to your comments at another show. And we'll see you guys on another edition of Broncos Daily. Have a good night.